If you had $1 billion
Right.
and you're in your career now, would you consider that financial success?
Here we go. I would say I'm financially wealthy. Yeah, I
Okay.
would say I'm financially wealthy.
Okay, so
So that to me would be like, yeah, I'm
you did
successful.
okay. Welcome back to another episode of The Abundant Life. I'm Charles Todd, your host, and Miss Angela Todd, the creative one from the Peanut Gallery, giving the comments that all the people want to say, and she's speaking for the people, from the people, as the people.
For the people.
Okay.
I am broad strokes. He is organizational in its place. Little pieces that are magnified. I'm
Always
like, hey,
Use
what's
the
out there?
term flying from 40,000 feet. I think you fly at 140,000. So
It's more than the Mile High Club. I'm out there. I'm up there with my rainbows and unicorns. So for those who can totally relate, come join. What are we talking about today, babe?
well, we are talking just about how bad school sucks. I mean, from the bottom, from first grade all the way to college to graduate school, all the way in between the middle.
School sucks. Okay, I got some stories.
Okay.
But go ahead. What about school sucks?
Well, to put it in perspective, I guess, is that, I mean, there's a lot of talk these days about problems that parents are having with schools, school boards, all the stuff that they're trying to cram down kids'
School is
throats.
nuts right now, I would have to say, based on what I've seen, just with the indoctrination of certain ideologies, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said, from the bottom, and then the same things going on in colleges as well too. And you know, I've seen quite a bit of stuff about recently podcasts that I've watched or different information just about the financial devalue of school. Is really college worth it? You know, from a financial perspective when you really look at it,
Right.
and how colleges are set up as a business. So we're going to get into all of that. The thing I want to just start though with is that we're just not going to talk about the problems and all the crap. We're going to give solutions. That's always what we're here to do, you know, how to live the abundant life. So it's like everybody talks about the problems, but okay, but how do I fix it? What do I do? Especially if I'm a parent, you know, and a single parent, and I have to work and I have to send my kid to a public school. What do I do? We're going to give some choices for that as well too. You know, trying to guide that single parent or whoever it is. Doesn't matter really what situation that you're in, that there's choices out there. And the same thing from a college perspective. I think, you know, a lot of times we talk about, this perception or this thing is go out and get a good education and get good grades and then get a good job. How many times have kids heard that? How many times
Their whole life.
How many times have parents said it? How many times do the politicians say that? How many times do you just hear that all the time? Here's my question for that person that's saying that. What's a good job? What is a good job? It's like, okay, you're telling me to get a good job. What is that? What does that mean?
Right.
How much money does that make? Does it have happiness? What's my freedom? What do I got to do? What's the parameters of that? What am I shooting for? Because if I'm starting a company, I have all these things that I'm going to put into place. I'm going to have this business plan. I'm going to have all this stuff that I'm going to do. I'm going to know everything. Well, what's your business about? I'm going to tell you. And what's the profit margins going to be? And what's the revenue streams? Or this is what I'm projecting, or all that. But when it comes to the good job, what is it?
It's working for someone. A job is working for someone else.
Why
That's a
can't
job.
why can't a job be? Well, I mean, you own your own business, aren't you? In a job, even though you work for yourself and you work for your clients, it's still a job, it's still work, right?
But I don't consider that like my job. I consider that something that I own. I have ownership in it. Therefore, it's not a job to me. It's something that I enjoy doing because it's my creation, I guess. So it's not someone else's creation, it's mine. Therefore, that's how I see job differently.
So go out, get a good education and good grades, and start a good company. And the same thing. It's like, well, what is a good company? It's like the people who are saying it, my point is, are saying it, there's no even real clear picture of what that is. And I think that is one of the problems. There's no clearness. There's no plan. There's no picture. There's no
Just go to school and figure it out is what it sounds
Basically.
like. Right.
And then what happens when they get out of high school? I was reading some statistics. 44% of kids that graduate from high school have no idea what they're going to do.
That sounds like a low percentage to me.
44%, almost half the people graduating from college have no idea.
From high school or college?
From high school.
From high school.
I mean, that means
that sounds low to me.
That means half of the population doesn't know what they're going to do. I mean, that's a problem.
I think 95% of high schoolers, in my opinion, have no idea.
Okay, well, we're going off statistics. So 95% is even a bigger problem.
My time and era, I would have to say. Anyway, maybe
knows?
It was just me. I'm 100% of the 100% of the people. So I had no idea what I wanted to do out of high school.
Well, and the next thing is that what about people who have no idea out of high school, but then they go to college, and then when they're in college, they still don't have any idea, and you ask them, they're 2 years into their degree, whatever that may be, what are you going to do? I don't know yet. Well, what are you doing? I'm doing my general ed. Okay, you're doing 2 years of general ed. Didn't you just have 12 years of general ed? Didn't you just go from kindergarten all the way through high school? Wasn't that a lot of general ed?
Yes, but the world tells me I have to go to college, and for what, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
It's a discovery.
This is the perfect time to play one of our first videos.
Okay.
So if we could cue up, Christian, one of the first videos of the Kelly Clarkson video. We got some kids here who are extraordinary. Let's take a look at them.
Look how cute he is.
Hi.
This kid is 2 years old.
Oh, Dwayne, you have a little genius. Like, how did you discover this?
Well, at 4 months old, we started showing Devin numbers, and we noticed when we would change the channel on the shows, he would start to cry. And when we would change it back, he would stop crying. And also, his first word was 7. So we thought that was pretty cool. Also, at 1, we would have him. We bought him a writing tablet. We bought him a writing tablet, and we would practice writing numbers from 1 to 100 while holding his hands and saying it out loud. So soon after that, he was able to write numbers all on his own.
I mean, it's cool how the brain works, right? And we're all so different. So let's try a little equation. So we're here in 30 Rock and Studio 6A. So Devin, what is 30 times 6? Can you do it?
30 times 6.
I'm about to be blown away.
30 times 6. Go ahead. Count it. Count it. 0.
Here's the thing. I mean, you can watch the whole video, and this kid's doing multiplication, addition. He's doing all this stuff. He's 2. Okay, keep that in mind. Let's roll the next one, Christian, too. This kid's 3. I just want to make sure we have a little bit of proof here that this is just not a one-shot wonder here. I saw multiple. Check out this kid.
Okay, 162 squared.
162 squared. The answer is 26,244.
He's doing on the calculator.
Look at his face.
I'm gonna see if you can do this right here. They told me I can write on this board.
Okay, draw any number.
Crazy.
Okay, I'm gonna make a number
Give me any number.
on this board, and I want you to tell me what that number is. Okay?
876 quintillion, 946 quadrillion, 351 trillion, 798 billion, 345,601,801.
Wow.
See, the most people, okay, that's cool. You can see that one, Christian. Can most people even say that number? But yet here you have these kids, they're 2 and 3 years old, who have mastered mathematics already.
Right.
Okay, these are just a few of the people that I saw online doing this. My point is this: how long do we have to keep doing math after these 2 or 3 years old? We do it through grade school, junior high, high school, and then college. It's like that stuff can be mastered in a couple of years. These before they're even in kindergarten, they've already mastered it.
Right.
You know what? There's this limitations that are put from the system on our minds that you have to go through all these different levels in order to master this. These kids have already mastered stuff. I couldn't say that number that kid 3 years old just said, because I've never put my mind to it. I've never been educated on doing that. Do they have some specific type of gift? Probably. Yeah, of course they do. But they've still had to been groomed in their gift. And we're going to talk about that, how you groom your kids through their gift. The whole point is this, is that how much do we overeducate at a very low volume of having really quality in it as well too?
Well, I like the fact that you just said you can't advance in the world system of higher grades of education until the system says that you can graduate to that level. So if you're 3 years old and he's doing quadrillion multiplication numbers, in the real world, you can't get to that level of the system, of school system, until you're, beyond college, because then you're doing mathematical equations in the collegiate system or whatever. Still trying to figure out what you want to do in life. You still have to figure that out. So it's like there's a clutch being in the school system in the world that you can't advance. The perception is, I can't get to a higher education until I go through all this process where a 3-year-old can do it within that. And then the 2-year-old, the guy was giving his son the pen and writing it on the board and saying the number at the same time. And that takes dedication from the parent to take time to groom that gift in their son, who's now a prodigy, who's now making headlines.
Yeah. Well, and that's the one thing I think here as we start getting into some of the choices that parents are going to have, is that it's going to have to take some work. You know, those choices that the parent's going to make is going to take some work, period. You know, and if you don't make the time to do that and you don't make any choices, then they become subject to the system. So you can't go and complain to the system when you've just participated in it and you haven't taken anything out. And that's one problem that I have when people strike with their companies or their business or whatever, is that if you don't like it, go work somewhere else. Go start your own company. Go do something else. Why do you complain about the one, especially when you're striking to the consumers who are buying the products, who have nothing to do with running the company? Like that's happened to us before at a grocery store, and we're walking the grocery store and they're yelling at us and cussing at us. And it's like,
we're the ones. At us.
We're the
ones.
Yeah, I remember.
Customers
Don't get
at
me
the
going.
grocery store.
Don't get me going on that.
It was brutal.
It's like, what do we have to do with their choices? I was like, I buy my own health insurance. You go buy your own. Go start your own company. Go get a different job. Why are you out here doing that? It makes no sense to me.
And then the strike is over, and then they're back working, or that's the intended use, right, is to go back working. And now we're customers in the store with the same checker who spit on us when we walked in there. What's the point? Now I hate that guy. I don't even want to go in there. Now I don't even want to go in the store that he struck against to fight against. Now he's back in there. Now I don't even want to go in there because he's in there. So I'll go somewhere else now. Well, because of his strike, to try to... Anyway,
we're jumping ahead a little bit. We're talking about strike. Let's talk about students, college students, who are basically protesting, I guess, to try to get out of their student loans.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
This is what I think about that.
Here we go. Student loan forgiveness.
First of all,
what is your take?
You took on that choice of that debt. Then you got through.
But did you?
Well,
or did the world convince you that that's what you needed to
whatever
advance?
If you got convinced, you still made the choice. You still signed the papers.
Right. But were you brainwashed into it, is my question.
Yes. I think there's a lot of that going on.
Okay.
But at the same point, you still made this choice. You have to, it's just like I always tell my daughter, you're going to make your decision, you got to own it.
Right.
You know? And I don't ever try to force her. I'll give her my opinion on certain types of things, whether it's contracts or business related or whatever it may be, give her, and she's going to get it from her agent. She's going to get it from the people who are closer to her, attorneys, whatever they may be. At the end of the day, I say, you have to make your own decision. But when you do, you own it.
Right.
And you don't look back. And if it blows up, you just keep on going, you make changes and you get better, whatever it may be. But you can't blame this guy, blame that guy. Here's what I think about the people who are protesting for schools. They're saying this for whatever reason. I can't afford this, it's too much, it doesn't work, I'm not making enough money, and therefore I want a refund. They're saying I want a refund. I don't want this, it wasn't worth it, basically, right? Because if they were really successful, if it really worked, if the product worked, if the college education got them that good job that we're going to get and we're going to make good money,
good education,
and it's going to be whatever that good job is, I'm happy and I'm buying my house and I got 2.5 kids or whatever that fits into their boxes, they wouldn't be complaining. They'd be making enough money to pay back the loan that they signed for, and they move on down into never, never, happy never, ever land, whatever that may be.
Right.
But they're basically saying, this sucks. This doesn't work. It's like buying a shirt and to say it's supposed to fit well, it's supposed to do this, and you take it home and it ravels the first day and the color fades. And it's like, this shirt sucks. I'm taking it back. Hey, this shirt doesn't work. It's not worked the way that it was designed to work. That's my whole point, is that they're really saying that this whole system of college didn't work. I don't want to pay for it. That's my view.
That's a good view. I like that view. I don't have an argument with that view because it sounds pretty right on.
So if you came out of college or whatever it was, or maybe you didn't even go to college, let's just say you grow up, you get a job, you start your own company, you become successful. What would you determine success from a financial perspective? Would you say that if you were a billionaire that you were successful from a financial perspective in your career?
There's so much around.
I'm talking just money, just financial. I'm not talking
yeah,
about
but how
any
much
stuff.
of that billions are you really making? Is it just paper money? I have a lot of questions.
Let's just say your net worth is billions.
Okay.
Whatever that may be.
Would I say that's successful? It depends. Are they happy?
I'm not talking about that. I
Okay,
said I'm not talking about health.
Yeah, if you're
I'm not
making
talking
a
about-
billion, if you're netting $1 billion, then I would say yes, you're wealthy.
Well, we didn't say netting's different than just having that as far as your net worth. So I'm just saying you have $1 billion at your disposal. Let's just say that. Let's not make this complicated. Let's not get into net income and tax advantages.
I want
and-
rabbit hole
Yeah, I know.
truth.
I just want to go to from a financial perspective, not about your relationships, not about your marriage, not about your kids, not about your health. We're
Okay.
just talking money.
Yeah.
Money.
So what do you?
Suc-
so what are you
success
asking?
money.
Then? So if I have $1 billion,
if you had $1 billion
right?
and you're in your career now, would you consider that financial success?
Here we go. I would say I'm financially wealthy. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say I'm financially wealthy.
Okay, so
So that to me would be like, yeah, I'm
you did
successful.
okay.
I know
So-
how to make money.
So Christian, pull up for us, if you would, the billionaires that dropped out of college.
Here we go.
So I'm just going to name some of the names of these people on this here. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, Michael Dell, Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Jack Dorsey, Walt Disney, Ralph Lauren, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So these are people who obviously have had billionaire success, but yet somehow found that there was no true or real value in finishing a college education.
That's very interesting.
So we're just talking about money once again. We're not
Right.
talking about the overall abundant life or full prosperity. And we
Right.
can get religious on this. And what about my relationships? And what about our health? And we believe in all that. And we think you should be balanced in that way.
Right.
Absolutely. But we're just talking about money. And when we're talking about good job sometime, we still are trying to figure out what that definition even means. So does that good job mean you're making a good amount of money? Whole point is that some of the most successful people haven't done that. So are there some people out there that are billionaires, multimillionaires that went through and got to Stanford and the Harvard and all that? Yeah, of course there is. But it doesn't have to be, that's not the norm. My point is, breaking out of that box of this mindset of go to school, get good grades, get a good job, just breaking out of that, first of all. Because we talk about a lot of things, we're talking about success and whatever it may be, we're always talking about a mindset is like the foundation of getting your mind right and putting your mind in a place that you can then move forward to have success in all the other things. Without having that mind set in a good place, that good foundation, it makes it very difficult to have success in whatever area it may be in your life, your health, relationships, whatever.
Did you finish college?
I did not.
Why?
I'll give you the 60-second
Here we go.
here of why I did not finish college.
Okay, I want the
So,
rabbit hole scenario.
I transferred 5 different times. So when you transfer from major universities, you lose a lot of credits. So you got to make up stuff.
Why?
And,
Why did you transfer?
that's a long story. So one, I was playing football, then decided not to play football, and there's some issues at the school. So then I went to where my aunt helped me out somewhere, lived with my aunt and uncle. And then from there, I wanted to go to Cal State Long Beach because they had the best dietetic program because I wanted to be a dietitian. And so my goal was to eventually get there. I went from Kansas to Las Vegas and finally made my way to Southern California.
So you were
And
moving
then,
around,
then was in a community college because it was cheaper because it's out of state until I got state status, I guess. So I didn't have to pay out of state to then move into the Cal State Long Beach system so I could pay state tuitions to out-of-state tuition, so it was more economical for that. I was going to school to be a dietitian. Obviously, I said that. I was working for GNC stores, went from sales clerk up to management status. And then from there, they had a employment plan where you could get your own franchise store and you could pay a reduced amount to get in and get your store started, all that. So the last semester or the last year, one of the two, I sat down with the dean of my department, nutrition department, and was told that my Nutrition 100 was not going to be accepted by the program. So I had to do Nutrition 100 all over again. And the dean was also one of my professors who I'd taken 300 and 400 level classes from and aced those classes, A plus, all the way through. This teacher had a good relationship with her, very well. And I said, I passed your 300 and 400 level classes. Why would I have to take 100? Well, because we don't know what the book was. It's like, well, what does that matter? Well, it's just principles and it's part of the rules. You're gonna have to take it. And I was just like,
A whole semester of a class?
Yeah, Nutrition 100 when I've already had all these other ones. So I'm already at this place where have been thinking that once I do get my degree, I've got to do a 1-year internship, which means I have to work 40 hours a week for free. So I have to work full time for a year for free. Meanwhile, I've already been through, 6.5, 7 years of school because I've lost a lot transferring and I've took a semester off here or there. And so now I'm thinking, now I got to do an internship. So not only do I have to do that, but it means I have to work full time and do an internship full time because I put myself through college except for the student loans that I got. So I worked full time and went to school full time for 6 or 7 years already. Now I've got to do it again. But the point I'm trying to make is that I was going to get paid nothing for that year. And then when I got out, I was going to be making less than I was already making with GNC as a manager. And then doing my stores, I knew my potential of income was going to go up even more. So why would I work another year for free, go backwards in my income and lose that time and lose that? It didn't make sense financially.
Right.
So when she told me I had to do that, which means I was going to lose another semester, I just said, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm done. And she said, what do you mean you're done? I said, I quit. I'm out. I walked out. That was the last experience I had with college.
Gosh.
Done. No plaque. No Charles Todd at the university,
no big
whatever.
ceremony with
Nothing.
your hat and
the only
your
hat I
family
threw was
and your
my
friends
ball cap
and
off
you're
when I walked out the
throwing
door.
your cap saying, woohoo, I get my diploma.
So that was my experience.
Okay.
So do you base everybody's education on what you do? And we always say, based on our testimony, don't make a blueprint out of that. I think there are definitely opportunities for people to go to school, to go to college that they need to for whatever it is, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it may be. For some people, there may be that education. It may be important.
Engineer.
One thing that but I did watch one on an engineer who graduated and couldn't get a job for 9 months, and he actually ended up slicing deli meat, so he couldn't get an engineering job. So that doesn't always work either. Anyway, back to where we're going, is that always take what we're saying and make your own out of it. We're giving you information. Sometimes it's good as far as, sometimes the school system will be good, sometimes it won't be good. And every single individual, every family needs to make their own decision. So what we're trying to do is give the tools to help these people make a decision on where they're supposed to be. For me at that time, it did not make sense. And I'm assuming that these billionaires that decided to drop out of school, it didn't make sense for them either.
Right.
So the point that I want to make with that is that system of systematical, go to school, get a good job, is not always what you have to do. There's other ways around that.
So what are the solutions then if you hit a wall and it's not working for you?
So let's start at grade school level. Okay. So we were talking about, well, what if I'm a single parent and, I have to work all day and I have to send my kid to school or whatever. Yeah, I get that. But there are different types of programs. There's homeschool for those who have the ability to then homeschool their children.
Okay, let me just stop right there. I tried homeschooling once, our daughter. Brutal. It was so brutal. Brutal. I was staring at myself into a mirror trying to educate myself, and it was the worst experience of our lives. That's when we had pulled her out of school, tried to homeschool, I think for like 6 months. And then that's when we found the little charter academy that we were able to put her in for the arts academy. Thank God. But if you're moving or you're taking children out of school and you're moving laterally, you can find other options that work for you. God bless the homeschooling parents, especially like during COVID and those who had to go through that. I feel for you. I do.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it didn't work for us. And that's what I was saying. People around us were successful at homeschooling, so we tried it. It didn't work for us. It doesn't mean that we're bad parents or our kid's a bad kid or whatever. It just didn't work for us. And that's the whole thing I was just saying. You got to find what's going to work for you and your kid. Everybody's going to be different. Right. So there's multiple solutions out there. So the homeschool and the online schooling is a solution to being put in the public schools. If you don't think the public school is giving your kid what they need, you don't like what they're teaching, whatever it is, you mentioned the political, the ideologies, whatever it may be, the reason that you don't want them in there, then those are some kind of the, I guess, most known solutions is that homeschool online. The other one you mentioned is charter school. So there are charter schools who are basically kind of operate from the perspective of a private school, yet they're basically run by nonprofits most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. So therefore, you can get into these schools without having to pay a tuition like you would a private school, but you have benefits that they're privately run, so they're not running through like the government system. So they're going to have different types of programs. So that's another thing. Some of them do have some fees, but they're also, you can get scholarships, you can get some type of grants, that type of stuff through that as well too. Sometimes there's even families that donate to those schools that set up just for that. Here's tuition for 10 kids or whatever it may be. So charter schools are another choice. Another one is called magnet schools.
Magnet?
So,
I haven't heard of that one.
Magnet schools are basically, so if you live in a neighborhood, you're basically in a school zone, you're supposed to go to the schools within your geographical area. So a magnet school basically takes off those boundaries from a geographical perspective and tries to draw kids in like a magnet is where they get that from, draw them in from other places because of what their program is. And their programs are based more around like mathematics, science, even like creative stuff like jazz and dance, that type of stuff. So it's a little more outside the box of just your basic history and English and whatever that may be. I'm sure that it has, some of those principles in there as well too, but it's not so much focused on that.
Right.
Which is what our daughter went through. She wanted to be a professional tennis player. So she went to school 2 days a week for 4 hours a day. And she went with kids that were musicians, basically, or had other types of
artists, musicians.
So they focused on the school stuff for those 4 hours. And then the rest of the time, the kids all went off and did their own thing, where they went to band practice or musician practice, whatever. Paris went to tennis practice. So she had the ability on the 2 days or the 5 days she wasn't at school, she could train full time.
Well, and the great thing about that is that they worked with us. So even though we had she wasn't in the arts, she was doing sports, they were able to work within what we had going on. So even if you do find a charter, if you align with someone else's principles, and they're gonna work with you. So don't ever think like, oh, they're never gonna accept us, or oh, they're never gonna wanna do this. You have to go in with the approach that, hey, we're aligned, and even though we don't fit into this mold, this is the mold we fit in. How do we work together? You can always make something work just by having a conversation with somebody. I think a lot of times people just get like, oh, that's never going to happen, so you don't even try. So just try. If it's not working for your kid, try something different.
Well, once again, it goes back to the mindset of not thinking that's the only option I got. It's not. You have options.
Right.
Regardless of your marital status, your financial status, or whatever, there's options out there. So you just have to go explore them. You don't ever know until you ask. Right. And one of the most important things too, we talked about is before on some of our podcasts is kind of discovering what your child's gifts are, what they're interested in. So if they're not interested, like they want to be a singer or something outside of normal type of education, then you probably want to get them out of that as much as possible and into something that's going to be a specialty school. It's the same thing that we'll talk about with colleges is if you have a certain industry or something you want to do, maybe a trade school works better for you. So that's the point too. Even at kids, like the sooner you can find out what their dreams and their goals are, the sooner you can get them on that path to already knowing what my good job is, what my good career is, and starting to form that at a very early age. Right. When you're working on, just like with our daughter, we're working on making a professional athlete from the age of 6. You know, it's a process. There's a lot that goes into that. It's the same thing with, you know, whatever that may be. And the sooner you can do it, then the clearer path you have and the more chance of success that you will have in that.
There's options. There's charter. There's, what is it, Magnet, homeschooling,
homeschool.
online, different trade schools, even, you know, there's private schools. I mean, hey, you just figure it out.
And I don't know a lot about the homeschool stuff. I've heard from different people that I've talked to. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I know that since COVID, those have grown even more.
Right.
So there's programs where they bring those type of kids that are being homeschooled, they bring them into like a community setting a couple times a week so they can go on field trips or whatever it may be, or just even get together to have that community type of interaction, because I think that's important for kids to have that. You know, if you just lock them in a house and put them on the computer or whatever, then how do they develop from a social perspective? So there's these lots of new opportunities for those homeschool programs to be even more successful. And that's something I think that a parent's going to have to be aware of, as, you know, putting those kids...
What new programs are available.
Yeah, and at the same point, as well as making them physically active. Because a lot of times when you're in public school, you're going to have gym class, PE class. You know, you're doing something, which I think is great. You know, we've talked about this on other podcasts about how important it is to exercise, not just for your physical body to stay in shape or to be healthy from that, but what it does for your brain as far as, you know, producing endorphins and dopamine and all those type of things that make you more alert, that give you more energy. So it's training those children early to have those things incorporated into their life as well too. So you got to get your kid active. You know, if you're taking on the role of educating them, however it may be, don't forget the physical aspect, because it doesn't just have physical benefits, it has mental benefits as well too. All right, let's talk about college.
What about high school?
The big kind of fits into the other box as well too. Just we're because of time, we're just going to wrap it all into grade school, junior high, and high school on the one.
Okay.
You can figure that all out. So let's go to college.
Okay.
So let's roll a couple of videos. Let's roll the first one. Christian, the girl who's talking about, I'll just kind of set the stage. She's talking about the political ramifications, I guess, of going to college these days. And she's obviously been through that, so she's giving her opinion. Obviously, everybody's going to be different. I've experienced this with some family members where I went to a family event and, you know, the father's talking to me. He's like, oh, you're never going to believe what, you know, little Johnny thinks now. And what do you think? I was like, how the heck did that happen? It's like, he went to college. It's like, what? You know, it's like, so I see this stuff is happening. I hear stuff's happening. So go ahead and roll that one if you will, Christian.
So when I was in high school, I remember being taught that those who attend university are more likely to be Democrats. Now, back in the day, I was thinking, yeah, well, obviously, because Democrats are smart and all Republicans are idiots. When you really think about it, it makes sense that after attending an indoctrination camp, a lot of people who may have entered university in the center or even on the right graduate as the complete opposite, because we have professors teaching them about how we live in a sexist patriarchy. They talk about intersectionality. Are you, the student, black or white, woman or man, gay or straight, and so on and so forth. And a lot of the assignments, from my personal experience, then make you talk about that. Why are you oppressed? And you might be sitting there thinking, that hasn't really been my experience. No. Oh, you poor soul, you just don't know how oppressed you are. In such an evil country like America, of course you're oppressed. Of course, you just don't know it. Most of these university professors are liberals, and they have their own agenda to push onto the students. Now, obviously, they shouldn't be doing that. One of the values of American universities was freedom of speech, being able to have respectful debates with people even, right? Because that's how you hear different perspectives, learn about different ideas, but that's not what it is anymore, okay? What it is banning words,
But that's not what it is anymore.
So obviously she's very opinionated on what her experience have been, but she's just talking about what she experienced, you know?
What is going on in college?
So, I mean, you know, that's one thing that I think you have to be aware of, you know, and what you're going into. One of the challenges that I had personally, not just, I mean, I'm not talking about, I really didn't have those challenges, I don't think, when I was going to school in the late 80s, early 90s, whenever that was, back in the heyday. The issue that I had sometimes was a professor that's giving a lecture and it's all from a book. And I'd ask them, did you ever, maybe it's a business class, how many businesses have you started? I never had a business. Never, you've just always been a teacher. Yeah. So how can you really give me information on how to start a business when you never said, well, because of the book, the textbook. We're on the textbook. So it's textbook smart.
Right.
And then I would have.
Who wrote the textbook?
I would have.
Who's that guy?
Nutrition teachers who are overweight by more than 50 pounds who are telling me that supplements and these things don't have any benefit. You don't need to do that. You just need to eat the pyramid structure of all the food groups and all this, and you'll be fine.
No, a pyramid scam. There you go. It's the food.
Meanwhile, I'm not doing the pyramid system. I'm doing a different system that works for my body,
right,
and the supplements that work for my body, that I know that all these sports nutrition products work, that I know these vitamin mineral, because I've tried them and I've been using them for years, and that they have had success, and they try to tell me that those products are no good for you. And it's like, well, let's just look at our physical bodies and compare. And you're trying to get information. Have you ever taken supplements? Have you ever taken sports nutrition products? Do you even exercise? No. Okay. So my point is the information is coming from a book, so how much more is this information also getting pushed down from above on just whatever it may be? So my point is this, it's like you're paying somebody to teach you. It's like, would you go to the gym and hire a personal trainer that's 100 pounds overweight, that doesn't even have enough respect in his own body to do what he's trying to tell you to do? Would you pay him and trust him?
Never. No.
That's my point. So it's like you almost have to be aware of what it is qualifying those who are going to be speaking to you.
Right.
So it comes from the perspective of, doing your due diligence even on a college or a certain, if you're going after a certain trade or whatever, where's the best place for you to be for that? So let's talk a little bit about student loans. If you go to a bank to get a loan for a business, what are you going to have to show them probably? What's the first thing they're going to ask for? Your business
plan.
What a business plan.
Right.
What the business plan is going to have about, it's going to talk about your mission statement, what your products are, what your services are, your projected sales and revenue and all that type of stuff. It's going to have a snapshot pretty much of what it is that you're going on.
Right.
If you say, I don't have a business plan,
they're not going to lend you any money.
He's going to say, hit the road, Toad. Get out of here.
Any investor.
You ain't get nothing. But yet, a college student can get a loan with not even knowing what they're going to do. Let me just ask this question. What's your good job going to be? I don't know. Then the question or the answer should be, hit the road, go figure it out. When you get it figured out, come back, and then we'll give you the student loan once you have it figured out. My point is this, it's like, how does it even make sense to get a loan for yourself and for you to do that when you don't have the plan in your mind either?
So you didn't have to, and when you got your student loan, you didn't have to fill out what your major was, what your future plan was, or anything like that. They just gave you a student loan based on your credit? Or how did they do that?
I don't know. I believe credit comes into that, but it's based on your financial standing.
So if you
don't have enough money, your parents don't have enough money, then you'll qualify for
a student
Well,
loan.
maybe that's just grants. I don't know. That's been a long time. All I know is it's really easy to get a student loan. It's just like you sign some papers, the next thing you know, the money's coming.
Right.
So it's very, very simple.
But did you know the percentage on your loan that was coming? Did you ever think I have to pay this back at some point?
Oh yeah, you have to pay it back, but you don't. I mean, you're thinking that's so far down the road. That's 4 years, 5 years. I'll have it all figured out by then, and everything will be peachy keen.
Right.
And you're not even thinking about it. I don't think it's much different when you got a credit card and you go buy another pair of shoes and you don't have the money to pay it. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll pay it next month. I'll pay it next year. It's the same thing. Point is that don't put yourself in the same position that a bank wouldn't even let you put yourself in, because you are basically your own institution. You're taking the risk on yourself, on your own institution. So don't put yourself at more risk than what a bank would even put you at risk at on a business.
So how would I do that then? Let's just say I'm a student going into college and I want to be an executive producer for a TV show, and I'm going to USC for their film school because they have a great film school from what I hear. And so I need a student loan in order to do that because I don't have any athletic or talents to get a grant or anything like that, and I want to pay for my education to go and become a film producer. What tool would I use to see what my end result is? Like, how would I plan out? Would I just say, okay, I want to just do like a vision board? Like, I want to produce my first film 1 year that I'm in, and then work backwards into that and make my own, like, what's the best solution to make my own business plan for myself for my own goal? I
think the key word you said is work backwards. So figure out, this is what I want to do. What did you say? You want to be an executive producer, whatever that is?
Yeah, I want to like shoot my first series television and sell it to Amazon, and then go to my first film festival.
So that's the end. Here's the end. Start the end, work backwards.
And work backwards.
So from this, okay, what do executive producers typically make? Go do your due diligence. Get online. Everybody can get online. What do these guys make? What does a typical person out of college make? What does a person make that's established 5-10 years, whatever? Figure out those numbers.
Right.
See what those numbers are. And then also do due diligence on probably some of the responsibilities of that.
And I can say that even if those numbers aren't published, talk to some of the people at the schools, even because they do have like guest speakers that will come in and that are in the industry, that will give a lecture or something like that. You can always talk to those who are giving the lectures. You can always have a conversation afterwards and ask them those questions.
Yeah, if you have the ability to do that.
Right.
But the main thing is you have the internet. You can get any information. You got AI. You got all this stuff now. There's no reason to have an excuse to not be able to get information, period.
Right. Well, that's probably a good idea. You can do your own AI business marketing plan for my hopes, desires, and dreams, and then work it backwards. And then, so then if you do have your plan and then you say, okay, here's my plan, now give me my student loan, at least you know where you're going and know what you want to do and have a plan to do it, versus how many? 44% have no clue?
Absolutely. So, and once you know, okay, this is what the average person makes in this field, whatever it is over here. And then let's just say I've already done the due diligence on the schools. I've already picked, and we're going to talk about this too, selecting the right place to go. You've selected that right place, and you know how much that is. And then it's going to cost you X amount per year times 4 or 5, whatever it's going to take you. And you're going to have to take a student loan for this other figure over here. And then you know what you're going to make here. So how long is it going to take that return on the investment to pay off this education? What does that look like? Can you pay it off the first year? Is it going to take you 4 years, 10 years, 15 years? I mean, because I hear stories like this from. Right.
Am I going to have to intern? Because like some major networks are, pulling in interns to go and work there. So again, you're working for free unless you can get a paid internship. So you have to be researching and checking, like variety and jobs and things of that nature and getting on those lists. See if you can at least get paid while you're going to school, right?
It's basically figuring it out, figuring out the math equation.
Just figure your life out,
We were just having this conversation the other day
out.
about like how accountants and wealth managers know the down and dirty of everybody's finances. Like
yes,
there's no line.
Follow the paper.
There's no line with those guys. And I hear stories from those guys continually on the guys who are the doctors and the lawyers from the perspective of how much student debt they have.
It's crazy.
Student loan debt. Because a lot of those guys, not only do they go 4 years of college, but then they're doing whatever their next 4 years is after
residency,
that. Med school and whatever else those may be. So they end up, paying off student loan debts for 10, 15 years.
That's nuts.
So, some of these guys are totally leveraged to the hilt. And even though they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever, they're living, a luxury lifestyle as well too, but they have all this student loan debt as well too. So it's like, did those guys really sit down and calculate and say, I'm going to have student loan debt for 15 years? So point is, just kind of wrapping this part of this up, is figuring out what you think you're going to make and then seeing how long it's going to take you to take care of that. And is that something that you really want to do?
Right.
So you may say, I don't want to be in debt for 10 years and I don't want to have to be paying 30% of my income to a student loan. You're going to know that stuff. So you say, okay, maybe I don't go to that university. Maybe I go to a trade school instead to learn that. Maybe I skip all that. Maybe that trade school is half the cost. Therefore, instead of it taking me 10 years, it'll only take me 5 years, or whatever it may be.
Or you just skip it all together and go get a job as an intern and then end up being an assistant as a producer. And then, I say the school of hard knocks sometimes is usually the best. Not hard knocks, but by experience. A lot of times you can go to school and get book smarts. Does absolutely nothing for you in the real world. If you could go in the real world and get a job, you're probably better off of getting hands-on experience than you are textbook experience, still not trying to figure it out.
And once again, it depends on everybody's own goals, plans, all that. But there are job placement programs, what you're talking about, where you can do just that. They can position you in a job. It may be low paying, but think of this. When you go to college, you ain't getting paid, you're paying them. So job placement might even better say, I'll pay you to come work for you so I can get the experience that I need so I can get hired sooner. Might be better to do that. But would anybody ever think of doing that?
Employers just have, interns pay you.
Yeah, I mean,
for the hands-on training.
You're going to be sure you're going to get some good help because they're paying, right?
Yeah.
But the whole point of that is that you can get in job placement where they're going to pay you lower than normal, but you're getting on-the-job experience. So the point is maybe you say, hey, I can go do that for a year, and after that, I can advance within the company that I'm already with. This is their basic success rate, and this is what that guy makes after coming out of that. So maybe you have no student loan debt and you're already into working in your career job. And like I said, it's going to be different for everybody. You can't do that with a doctor. Obviously, you can't go to the hospital and say, hey, I want to work here for a year and you don't pay me nothing, then I'll give you my doctor's license next year. It's like, but there's certain type of careers or industries where this will work.
Well, there are a lot of those
there we go.
Scam artists out there that are
Quackerdacks.
The quackerdacks. I have a friend who had a dentist that told her that she needed all these root canals, did all the root canals, and then found out later through a bunch of other people that she was friends with that the same thing was happening over and over. Anyway, this sadistic dentist was doing work that was not necessary and charging all these people. That's to me is morbid.
Well, there's bad apples in every bunch.
Just like plastic surgeons or, estheticians that are doing injections or the bad plastic surgeries. That's why they have shows now. They fix people's faces because you got to do your homework even on referrals of doctors, and that goes with anything. Your finance or, your wealth managers, your bankers or whatever. I'm always shocked at the emails that I get of people trying to do business with me that I don't even know who they are, asking me for money. It's like, why would I ever do business with somebody that I have never heard of, don't even know about? You just got to do your homework and be referred. Usually referrals are the best.
Well, and I think, what you've just said is the whole process of determining, am I going to go to college? Or major university? Am I going to go to maybe a junior college? Am I going to go to a trade school? Am I going to go to a job placement? Look at them all. I mean, before I went to college, I was going on football scholarships. So the schools would have you come and visit. So you could see the campus and you'd spend the night and you would go eat in the food halls and, you'd see all the stuff. It's basically like show and tell for you to try to get you, hey, this is how good our place is. You can still go do those type of things without being a recruit or something. You can go and tour the campus and talk to people in the department or whatever it may be. It's like going looking for a house. Are you just going to move into a house without even at least looking online or going and looking at it? You're going to go do some investigation.
And the reviews. Do you read reviews?
On what?
On anything. Like if you're looking into something and you're going to go somewhere. But you have to take reviews with a grain of salt too. So
yeah, of course.
I mean, definitely read the reviews, but then also make your own educated guess.
Everybody is going to have a different path. Everybody's going to have something different that they're going to need to do. So it needs to be selective for the own individual and the own family. That's number one. Once you understand that, then you have to do your own due diligence and you have to make your own choices. But I think the most important thing to get out of this is that there's a lot of choices for parents and for kids, even at a very young age and starting out. So go through the process, do your due diligence, figure out what's going to happen. And then once you get into where you feel it needs to be, then it's still going to be the parents' responsibility to then continue to help to groom them in that. It's not just like a place where you just dump the kid for babysitting services. It has to be
for 18 years.
Basically,
dump the kid for 18 years and then by the time when you graduate and make money, then you can support me. That's usually how most parents do it. I hate that. It's the children should not be supporting the parents. The parents need to leave an inheritance for their children's children, for future generations, and to be set up so that they're able to be a blessing to their children and then passed along down the line and so on. It's not backwards. So if you're a horrible 30 for 30 parent, we're going to pray for you that you will change and be a blessing to your child so that you are able to support and be there and be a blessing and making right choices. We're here to help. We really are.
Really like to bust people up on that one, don't you?
Yeah, that's a ball buster for me for sure. I just can't even deal. It's so backwards. A lot of things are backwards, but we're here to self-correct. So
yeah, and another thing parents do regarding this is that's why we've done our whole Money Mike and the Gang book series, is to provide a tool for parents to be able to teach them, so you don't have the excuse, well, I don't know anything about finances and I don't know how to teach this and I was never taught that. This is a tool. So my point of that is just not trying to sell our books to people, although they are really good and you should buy some on Amazon if they're help. But is that there's a lot of tools out there to help you do this, and we already talked about one is the internet and AI and all that. So that's that. Let's go back to college. Do the investigation. Figure out what it is that you're going to do before you get into school. Do your homework, do your own business plan, do your career plan, figure out what it is that you want to start from the end, like you said, work your way backwards, get all the information. Once you know that, then shop the schools. Do I want to go to a major university? Do I want to go to a junior college? Do I want to go to a trade school? Do I want to go to a job placement program? Figure that out. And if you make a choice and then you end up changing, that's okay. Right. It's okay to change midway or whatever it may be.
Life changes. It's okay. You just got to go with it.
Things change. I mean, that's why companies have board meetings every quarter, because it's like, what did we do? What are we going to do? And what changes do we need to do based on what we did last time to try to make it better for the next time? Sometimes things happen. It just is. So it's not about, I got to pick this and I got to do with that. You want to be as secure in your choice as much as possible, but just keep moving.
Right. I heard, or actually read a great little statistic.
What was that?
Reading to children 6 to 7 days a week puts them almost a year ahead of those who are not being read to.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right? It adds up. If you read just 15 minutes a day, in 1 year, you will have read over 1 million words. That's imparting wisdom, knowledge into your children. That's why our books are so great, is because we give you the definitions along with the scripture reference with asterisk words, introducing financial vocabulary. Because even if you are going through school, when you graduate and you're trying to figure out your career, you're going to have to figure out what to do with your finances. You're going to have to figure out how to tithe, save, invest, give, what to do with your money so that you can continue to make money, so that you're not just working for someone else and working for years as an intern and not making any money back. You're going to have to learn how to manage your income and your finances, especially when you are making plans that fit your lifestyle for what you want to do to get a good job, be happy.
Yoo-hoo, good job.
What's the other one?
Get good grades.
Get good grades.
Get a good education. Get a good job. Yeah, whatever. I try not to memorize it too much. I don't meditate on that.
So get the good books, Money Mike and the Gang. That will help you to get a good job, to be happy, and to do what you need to do in life, because it sets the precedence of, increasing and promotion and being a blessing to your children.
Everybody's got a choice.
Yeah.
Let's make the right choice. That's what I like about Deuteronomy. It says, I put before you life and death, blessing and curses, therefore choose life. Just in case you're too dumb to know what's the right choice, what's the good choice, God tells you, choose life.
I love that.
Choose the blessing.
Well,
so we say the same thing. Choose the right thing. Choose what's going to work for you and what's going to make you as prosperous in every area of your life as you can.
Just thanks for tuning in. If you have also other resources or information on...
And make comments.
Yeah, let us know.
Tell us what you think.
Tell us what you think.
Share.
Yeah, share so the community can figure out what that is. Yeah. And until then, school schmool.
Yeah.
Hey kids, it's Money Mike. I'm lean, I'm green, and I'm a money machine. Welcome to my new book, Money is Easy, where I branch out with glee, revealing the message, money is as easy as counting 1, 2, 3. This is my first book in the Money Mike and the Gang 4-book series, where I get together with my good friends and reveal hidden secrets in my tree leaves that pay dividends. I'll teach you 3 simple steps on how to get rich, so you can tell a friend and also help their lives to be enriched. So check out my new book and you will see that money really is easy as counting 1, 2, 3.